Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the Gamers Weekly Perspective. This week we've got 4 pieces of news we're going to go through. Obviously, as of making this video, there's probably a bit more news out about the articles I'm going to go through, so apologies for that. So to start off with, we had a new trailer for Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. So the game is a new game being developed at Activision. They obviously remastered the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. But now they are obviously bringing Crash back on PlayStation and Xbox as a brand new game, which we haven't had in such a long time now. So you can expect new characters, you can expect new bosses. There is a new system where you acquire quantum masks and they give you new abilities like anti-gravity. That's where you can actually go along the wall, so you can expect collectibles maybe to be on like the ceiling of buildings and stuff, which is cool. The game will support local multiplayer, 1 to 4 players. There was no actual like gameplay or anything about that. It's just an extra detail where we found out reading some of the articles afterwards, so it'll be exciting to see what that is. Also it's going to launch on the 2nd of October, so maybe it'll be compatible with next gen through backwards compatibility. They've not said anything about smart delivery or anything about that yet. But obviously it's wait to be seen. There's also been no Switch game announced yet, which is quite surprising since the trilogy's on there. I do believe the trilogy came out not at the same time as like consoles version did. So I should expect that'll come out at some point, as it being a platformer, it's sort of ideal to be on the Switch. But go ahead, watch the trailer and see what you think. I'm not massively into Crash, but I know there's so many thousands of people that like Crash is like a big icon in their sort of like childhood lives and that. So it's great to see that they've got something to look forward to later this year.
Crash Bandicoot, you banished me to the past. But all it did was give me more time to plan your doom.
I have to say that that trailer, like just the visuals and that and the bright colours look great, and they've really done a good job on recreating Crash into a brand new game. So moving on, we have the Marvel Avengers Wartable that we had on Wednesday. So this was like a 25-30 minute long episode, which will be a more regular thing eventually, where they explained like a whole new set of details that we can expect in the game later this year. So to get straight into it, there's a new bad guy called MODOK. So MODOK is actually a character from the original 1976 Volume 1, Episode 18 comic of Marvel's double feature, If This Be MODOK. But it was actually debuted way back in October of 1967. So he's like a character that's been around such a long time, but my generation and many other generations before me probably won't have known who this guy was. So I mean, it's fantastic they've actually gone all the way back into like the 1960s to actually take a character to now bring into a game in 2020. So that's just fantastic. His main ability is to control machines with his mind. So he's obviously the big bad guy sitting at like the top of the mountain, and he's obviously got all these machines he's controlling over his mind. So it gives me impressions of Thanos. So he's just such this big, powerful, controlling bad guy, and obviously we're going to go through certain missions, and then eventually we should be able to take him down. So that's exciting. So we also got to look at story missions. So obviously story missions are single player. They will have like a difficulty select, so you can expect to play for it once, and then you play for it twice on like a harder difficulty, and you'll be getting better loot, better rewards to improve your character. But we'll get into more detail on that just a minute. From there we had. So yeah, that was it. So we had a mission with Thor in, and this was, they showed off, it was called Once an Avenger. So it's a story mission we'll be able to play when the game comes out, and it was specific to Thor, which we obviously got to see new abilities that Thor was using. We got to see sort of the fighting mechanic in the game. I wasn't too sure on the fighting, like the mechanics, because there was times where he was throwing his axe or his like hammer, it was making the hit noise even though he wasn't actually hitting anybody. So maybe like the hit scan detection system may need like a bit of polish, but it's really hard to say until you actually play it. I would suggest though not to expect it to be like a full sort of Spider-Man on PlayStation type of experience. It's more like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance sort of on console and fully refreshed with like a proper good engine, and that's the sort of game you want to come to expect, and then on top of that as a live service. So we also had a look at the skill trees. So with the skill trees, you can unlock classic moves from like different Marvel films, different Marvel comics, which is obviously fantastic. They've done so much research into finding all these new Marvel things that obviously I didn't know about. And then you can make, with these skills, you can make Thor be like a long range build, or you can make a more of a melee build. So you get that variety, and then you sort of get that aspect of that everyone's Thor's the same or plays the same, which is great. Then we also had a look at the ultimate abilities, which I thought was really cool. So beating enemies eventually will give you your heroic meter, and then once that reaches the end, it will enable you to use your ultimate ability, which you can see in the clip. And then also if you're playing with other heroes, so this could be through Warzones, which I'll get into soon, you can also get these support heroics, which enable you to use superhero powers to benefit your team. So when, as you can see in the clip, when Thor's using his Iron Man, like, can fly into his and get that invulnerability effect, which makes him stronger, and he can obviously deal that damage without taking any back, which will be fantastic against bosses and stuff. So looking at the gear and the artifact system, so it's like, looking at it, it's similar to Destiny and Anthem, whereas you have the rarity level, so you have like your greens, your blues, your purples, and then as you progress through the game, you'll get that power score higher and higher, which makes you more powerful, and then you can expect to be able to do more end-game activities. And then once you actually acquire some of these gear, especially the higher, sort of like the higher value gear, it also comes with different perks which will be able to affect your combat in game, which, yeah, it's similar to Destiny as well. It's just giving you that extra more things to build on your skill tree to give you more of a different sort of play style compared to other players in the game, which is great and really in depth, which is what I like. So I have been reading that these gear will be just stat based rather than any visuals. So once you say, if you put on like a pair of gauntlets, for instance, it's not going to appear on your character. As for like outfits and that, they have multiple new and classic outfits. You can earn them via in-game, and they obviously go back to really old comics, like some of the characters that are going to be in the game. So you can probably expect so many old outfits you've not seen, as well as on the new outfits they're going to bring into the game. So lots of variety there. Moving on to the co-op and war zones. So co-op and war zones are a feature that you can play 1 to 4 players. So one hero per player, so you can't have multiple Iron Mans unless they want to do like the multiverse sort of way, but anyway, we've not heard about that yet. If you don't want to play with online players, you can actually just play 1 to 4 players with AI heroes, which is a great feature again, especially if you don't want to be constantly communicating with team members and stuff. So these war zones are like strikes. There'll be bigger areas that you can explore. You will have boss fights. You'll have like waves of enemies where you might have to defend something, or maybe you have to break something down to progress to the next level. So yeah, they're just great sort of like activities to play with friends with, really. That's sort of all we got on Warzone's information at the moment. I don't know if there's going to be any sort of like raids or anything in the game. Obviously all this content's not going to be at the launch. We'll have like a few, maybe 3 or 4 Warzone missions, and on top of that, through like updates and content we'll get, which will be free of course, probably get more Warzones, and then we'll get maybe even bigger content. So that's pretty much all of the Marvel Avengers news, really. Of course, we will get more information as the days go on. Obviously, things will get revealed in that. And then, obviously, the game's out. When's the game out? September 2nd or something. So not long to wait. And I believe there could be a beta coming as well. So, obviously, keep an eye out for that, and I'll keep you posted on when that's coming soon. So moving on to the next big game to talk about, that's Cyberpunk 2077. So on Thursday we had a similar briefing as what we had with Marvel Avengers. So we got like a 25-minute, 30-minute briefing of where they explained some new features in the game. We saw some new trailers, and yeah, they sort of just gave us an in-depth look of things we saw in the trailers and that. So to get straight into it first, the most interesting thing I saw was with the character creation. So in character creation, you have like a backstory, so you get to develop your character more, which is obviously great for like a role-playing game, sort of what it's all about. So the first thing that interested me was childhood hero. So to sort of build up, sort of like as a young age, you get to what your character did when they were young, and you get to choose like your childhood hero of Johnny Silverhand. You can choose Morgan Blackhand, and then there was a corporate god which is called Suburbo Arasaka. Can't pronounce that too well. Obviously we know who Johnny Silverhand is. We've seen him in the games. Morgan Blackhand, he's the Solo of Fortune. I'm not too sure who that is. And obviously the corporate god, which I don't believe we've seen any information on that. So obviously gives us something to look forward to in the game. So I'm not sure how these childhood heroes, maybe whoever you choose, you get like a different reaction to when you actually meet, and then maybe you're more shocked, or you build that more character development with them. So that's obviously exciting, something we can get to look forward to. Then next we had Key Life Event. So this is like a key life event of what's influenced you into maybe going to Night City. So you had death of a sibling, you had ran away from home, and you had your first big kill. So death of sibling looks like more of like a grief, sort of you've left and you try to deal with obviously that sibling and how you lost them. Ran away from home, that's sort of just like you know, it's sort of like it could be for any reason, should we say. There could be many story related situations with this, and obviously first big kill, that obviously maybe you're some sort of bounty hunter, you've been paid to go get this kill. I believe we saw something related to that in one of the previous trailers from last year. So yeah, interesting again. And then finally is Why Night City. So you had Unfinished Business, there was Ex-Lover in Town, and Something to Prove. So I'd say first big kill links with Something to Prove, maybe trying to prove to some sort of big boss that you're the right man for the job. unfinished business, that sort of something that maybe is related at home, that's why you left home and you've gone to go find a certain somebody that's involved, maybe with the death of the sibling situation. Then the ex-lover in town doesn't really link to any of the key life events, I don't think. But again, that could be some sort of interesting character line that you want to follow. So I mean, lots of information there. So moving on to the districts. So as we know, in Night City there are 6 districts, and we got the first look of the 7th district, which is the Badlands. So the Badlands is sort of, gave me sort of Mad Max vibes. It's in the desert. It's going to be a large open world experience there. Less crowded than in the city. When I was looking at it, it sort of gave you that less cyberpunk feel to it. So you sort of have the city where the cyberpunk themes everywhere, and then the Badlands is like just this place that's sort of out of it all, really. You get to sort of just chill more. And the most interesting thing I found here, that is, if you start as the Nomad, which is a class, you'll actually start in that area. So I mean, that just shows you how diverse the game is. Depending on the character class you choose, depends on where you start in the game. So I mean, I don't really think of any games that have actually done that, so that's great. I look forward to actually seeing where all the other characters are going to be placed around the map and how they all come together and link the story. So moving on from the journalists that have actually played the game, they got 4 hours of gameplay time. I believe it was actually streamed over some sort of application, so they obviously had that little bit of lag, so it couldn't give you like a proper technical side of the game. But obviously, it looked great. They said that the gunplay felt sort of similar to Far Cry, which I think is pretty good for a game on such large scale. And obviously, the Far Cry gameplay is not bad. It's not like your Call of Duties, but it's not like so bad that it's not fun. And they sort of, I'd go check out a video, something like the Game Awards or Kind of Funny Games. They'd explain a bit more detail. They'd post like 40, 50 minute clips of them sort of just saying everything about the game and what they got to enjoy. But everyone said so far they just can't wait to get back into the game, and it's just going to be such an amazing game. So yeah, roll on. Was it November the 27th? Hopefully it's not going to get delayed again. I really hope not, because I really look forward to that, and I'll definitely be playing that on PlayStation 5 as it comes out. So the final news of the day is a lot smaller than the previous 3, but it's obviously huge for Naughty Dog and PlayStation, because Last of Us 2 has sold 4 million copies in just 2 days. And that makes it the best ever selling PlayStation exclusive. So that's obviously massive, especially in this time where we're in lockdown. We can't all go to the shops to get these games, and yet it's still broken that 4 million record. And yeah, the game deserves it. Go check out my review just in the description below. And yeah, I thought the game was fantastic, and I definitely recommend you trying that out. So now moving on to the deals of the week. First up, we have Stranded Deep. So Stranded Deep on Xbox One, that is. This game will be £13.39, reduced from just £16.74. So it's a small sale, but I definitely recommend the game. It's a survival game on these tropical islands, and usually all you've got is your raft, and you have to craft different tools. You have to make a base. You get to explore different other tropical islands surrounding the one you're on. And the idea of the game is to find a plane and escape, basically. So you can find parts, you have to make parts. There's like a gyrocopter you can make. It's just a great exploration game, really. It looks great. It's not that framey at all for one of those. These sort of games are sort of got a tendency to be framey with these high visuals. But I couldn't really complain when I played it, and yeah, I definitely recommend giving that a go. Maybe watch some of the YouTube clips online, see if it's your sort of thing. But yeah, that's the first one. And then the second one is obviously this Steam Summer Sale is now on. So there's multiple deals, many deals for all these great games. Just a few I wanted to point out to you was Doom Eternal for $24.99. So that is a new game from Doom that came out this year. Another one I wanted to point out was Payday 2 for 74p. If you haven't got that, obviously that much money at the moment, 74p is nothing, and you can play Payday 2. Get your friends to play it. It's obviously a great multiplayer game. The Outer Worlds for $12.99. So that is like the indie sort of space game that was very highly received. Exploration game, different planets to experience, different environments. I highly recommend that. It's got a great soundtrack too. And then I wanted to also point out that Terraria for $3.49. So Terraria just had its big final update, which adds a whole load new content, and just for £3.49 to experience all that is, I think it's a great price. And then obviously Steam summer sales. There's so many more games I could talk about, but go check it out if you're on Steam. I'm sure you'll pick up a bargain. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a nice weekend. Stay safe, play games, and I'll see you soon.